Hi everybody, it's Rob and Kurt with Two Brothers Hobby, and today we're taking a look at the eRC Eurofighter.
Yep.
Now this is not an officially licensed Eurofighter, but this is the closest ARF ready-to-fly version of the Eurofighter Typhoon, is that correct?
Yep, that we've seen so far.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
it looks fantastic.
Yep.
Very scale, working canards.
Yes.
So that's kind of a rare thing.
360 thrust vectoring.
Yep, 360-degree thrust vectoring. So it's got some neat, has some neat elements incorporated in it.
And we've stepped away from our normal protocol of taking it out of the box, showing you what you can expect to find out of the box and build it. Kurt's cabin fever got the best of him. We had a couple of warm days due to work schedule, stuff like that. We weren't able to get it done in a normal fashion.
Right.
So Kurt went ahead and built it. So we're going to start right out with the built product. And Kurt, why don't you talk us through what you did or to get it to this point?
Absolutely. The canopy comes fully assembled. It's ready to go, ready for installation. So you'll pull it out of the box and this will all be together. The fuselage itself, from just after the nose cone all the way to the thrust vectoring nozzles, is all assembled. You install the canards, you set up the linkage for the canards to the already installed servos, you install both the wings, you install the vertical stabilizer. But then as we look back in the front section, most of your works, once you get everything installed, is going to be going through your radio adjustments. Now one of the decisions you have to make up front is what type of battery to go with. Now they recommend, Hobby Lobby has, since this is an eRC, it's available through Hobby Lobby. It's one of their exclusive brands. You can get the 36 or 3700 milliamp 6S pack. Now you have the choice of either going with two 11.1 volt saddle packs and then you go through and wire them in series, or you can go with a single 6S and just connect it to the ESC and you're ready to go. They do include a small jumper, so you can work out of the box either with two saddle packs or with a single 6S pack. So they've covered both decisions you may make. We went ahead and decided to go with the Flight Power 50C, their new 50C discharge. These packs are brand new, just on the market. 50C discharge and 6C charge rate, so we can turn these around at the field very quickly at 6C. So we may be able to charge these up in less than 15 minutes. If you do the calculations, you run it down to cutoff. In about 13 minutes or so, you've got the packs charged and they're ready to cycle and get back up in the air. Most of the work you're going to do is fitting whatever batteries you decide to fit in here or you decide to go with. Now the pack that they recommend is a 6S, like I said, 3700 milliamp, and the battery tray is made to fit that. I had to make a few adjustments or a few modifications to fit my Flight Power batteries in here, but nothing major. As long as you keep your vertical, your height down, and you keep yourself positioned for your CG balance, you'll be in good shape. We've already got the system connected as well. We're going to show you the functionality of all the control surfaces, but it does come pre-wired with all of the connections for the lighting system. So there's 7 different nav lights: wingtips, top Mars, beacon, tail, under fuselage, under the nose, and then you've also got a landing light as well, which you can see on the front nose gear. So kind of cool. The thing's ready to go out of the box with all the nav lighting. Now as we moved aft on the aircraft, you've got a section right here. This needs to be put in after when you do your installation, this small piece. This shows your connection wires for your vertical stabilizer light. So once you make those connections, you put this piece in place, but you do have to install your vertical stabilizer. You do have to install both of your wings as well, the drop tanks. And then other than that, it's installing the left and right rear landing gear. And as I had mentioned, your canards and your whole fuselage is ready to go then. So there's just big pieces to glue together. Now gluing, when we speak of that, they ship the model with a 2-part epoxy. And I decided to go ahead and play it safe. This didn't look like a whole lot to me, not that you need to pour a ton on the model, but just to be safe, I went ahead and picked up or grabbed a couple bottles of our 5-minute Bob Smith epoxy, Bob Smith Industries epoxy, just to know I had enough and I wouldn't end up in a situation where I was half built and didn't have enough epoxy. So in case I made a mistake or something, I used quite a bit of this to put the model together, multiple batches. I mean, there was a lot left over. Some of the pots I got finished with had left over, but rather be safe than sorry, it's pretty cheap to pick up some 5-minute epoxy, so I suggest you do the same thing. Then the battery choice we made, we're going with the 2 saddle packs. Those are already wired back to the ESC with Dean style connectors. This is essentially a receiver ready kit, so all you need to do is supply the battery and the receiver, and then of course your transmitter for your radar components. And then we've already got this turned on right now so we can show you the functionality. It does have working canards, and it also has 360-degree thrust vectoring on the back. So as we look at the back end of the model, we can see that we do have fully functional 360 degree thrust vectoring. So without a functioning rudder, that's going to be our rudder control. Now with that said, we'll be able to do some pretty neat high alpha stalls coming in. on our approaches, and we'll also be able to do some flat spins. So the manufacturer says you'll be able to get this thing into a nice flat spin. So we'll try both of those when we get it out to the field. Now when we look at the actual radio component we use, we have a choice of going with your own computer radio, and we decided to go ahead and go with the high-tech Aurora 9. The Aurora 9 is a fully programmable, very advanced computer radio, and we went ahead and had to apply 3 different mixes. Now when you get your canards factored in on your elevon, you have to choose the wing type, which is a delta wing, or excuse me, a flying wing, which allows the elevator and aileron functions to be mixed into the elevons. And then we also had to mix in our canards. Now I'll go through the advanced setting of the setup on the web page and the review, but it's pretty simple. It'll come out to 3 mixes. You'll mix your elevons into your canards through the flap channel. I put in and put the canards on the flap channel, so I have some independent control, which would be kind of interesting. When we get out to the field, I'll be able to do some different maneuvers not intended to be done, but we'll see how that works out. But our high-tech choice was really simple. It also gives us some telemetry built in to the model as well. We'll be adding the telemetry pack on this, so we'll be able to tell some of our basic telemetry information from current draw to voltage and things like that. So very advanced radio system and extremely easy setup. Again, the nice thing about the Aurora 9 is it's a touch screen. It's very menu-driven and extremely simple for us to achieve the mixes required to get the Eurofighter up and ready for flight.
So with all that said, Kurt, how long did you have in the build on this?
It took about 6 hours.
Did it really?
Yeah, because the kit went together. I mean, you've got the big foam pieces, which is kind of difficult to maneuver because it's a big plane. Like you said, this is almost a 5-foot bench or a 5-foot bench. You can chew that up pretty quickly with the Eurofighter. It's large. Getting the pieces together wasn't difficult, but then you go through and adjust the thrust vectoring nozzles, make sure those are nice and parallel, and then you go through and do all the radio setup. Verify, triple check, quadruple check, make sure your CG's right on. All those things kind of choose up some time. If you want to do it right, take your time. And I also put dual rates on as well based on what the manual recommended. So I've got all of the different flight conditions I want once we get out and do our test flight. So
what kind of shape was the model in when you pulled it out of the box?
Not too bad. It's a big model, and these big shipments tend to get beat up by the carriers pretty bad. Unfortunately. It's very susceptible to hanger rash, being that loose cell foam. It wasn't in bad shape. I did have some real micro fractures in the lower portion of the main fuselage, which I think it really wasn't a structural issue because as soon as you put the wings on, everything gets solid as a rock. You put the carbon fiber spars in on the bottom. It really got solid and rigid. But I went ahead and just went through and looked for any kind of micro cracks, mixed up some 5-minute epoxy, separated it slightly, oozed some epoxy in, and then cleaned it up and let it set just to make sure that I had a fully rigid airframe. So with these foam models, you always want to go, especially loose cell, you always want to go front to back, nose to tail. And if you got a problem, you know, Hobby Lobby's great about replacing anything. So give them a call. They'll get your piece replaced. It's broken, and you'll be up and flying. So
that's always one of the downfalls with foam is you get such incredible detail, but then you've got the
well, if we had this in a fiberglass kit, boost the power plant. Look at the added weight. Look at the added expense. The added time. Everything goes up. The cost goes up. The complexity goes up, and then it's not even practical as an EDF anymore. So really, the only way you're going to get an EDF this big with thrust vectoring is going to be a foam. So and bottom line is EPO or expanded polyolefin, which is the really tough, durable foam, is heavier. So you're going to have a weight compromise there as well. So you're kind of this is what you got to work with. And I tell you, they did a great job in the scale detail. It's just going to be a little more sensitive to transport. So. Speaking of transport, let's take it out the field.
We're going to have to get out there and see what we can do with it. So
all right, sounds good.
Watch the flight.